Hi all! In this video we are going to learn about the 3 things that every React developer should know about setState. I am Priyanka and welcome to channel Coding Leader. setState is one of the most essential operations in React, but it is most confusing. So if you are new in React, you might have feel that the setState does not work the way we want. So let's start to learn those 3 things which are very important that every developer should know about setState. Let's start to learn the first rule of the React. Do not modify state directly. So I'm going to create one file, counter.js. Here I want class component, so I'm going to use the snippet RCE. Enter. If you also want to know how to install the snippet and use the snippet, I have provided the link in a description and the info card to how to install the snippet and how to use the snippet. So this is the counter class which has the constructor. So for that I'm going to use the snippet rconst. Enter. Which having the state count. Initially it is 0 and it returns the count. This dot state dot count. Save this file and import in app.js. Import counter from counter.js. Now let's use that counter component. Save the file and see the result. It's showing the count with 0. Now in counter file I want one button, increment button. So add one button. Increment count. Save the file. Fail to compile and the error is adjacent JSX element must be wrapped in an enclosing tag. To learn more about this error, you can visit the video The Common Errors in React. Link is provided in a description and the info card. So to solve this error, add react.fragment. Now create one function. Increment count. Which is the array function with state this dot state dot count equal to this dot state dot count plus 1, and also I want log console.log this dot state dot count. Now call this function on the click event on click this dot increment count. Save the file. Now save the file and see the result. Now see the result, it's showing the count and it's 0 is the initial state. Now click on the increment count. It's showing 1 but still it is showing 0. Yeah, in console.log we are getting the updated value of state count, but this is not reflecting here. So why this happened? When we update the state directly, state get updated, but the component did not re-render. So the state get updated, that's why we are getting the correct value in console.log, but this component did not re-render, so the value here did not get updated in UI. To fix this issue, let's use setState. I'm going to comment this. This dot setState. I'm passing the state object count. This dot state dot count plus 1. Now save the file and see the result. Now see the result. Click on increment count. Yes, the count is increasing because when we update the state by using the setState, the render method get called of that component, and that's why the count is changing. So the first rule which we have studied is do not modify state directly. Now let's log the value in a console. So console.log state before update. This dot state dot count and the state after setState. We can say state after updating state. Save the file. Now see the result. The initial state is 0. Now click the increment count. It showing state before update 0 and state after updating state is also 0 and it is showing 1. Now click again. Again it is showing state before update 1 and state after updating state 1. So why this happened? setState is a asynchronous function. So before updating the count, the console log this value of this dot state dot count. That's why in after updating state we are not getting the updated value. So to solve this issue, setState has two parameters. First is a state object and the second one is callback function. So let's comma callback function and let's copy this code in the callback function. Now save the file and see the result. Okay, now click the button. Now it's working as expected. the state before update is 0 and after update it's showing 1. Before update 1 and after update state it's 2. So here we learn the second rule of setState, that the state update may be asynchronous. Now let's learn the third rule, that state updates are merged. For that I'm going to create one function, increment count 3 times. This is array function which calls the increment count 3 times. Save the file and call this function on the button click. Save the file and see the result. Now click the button increment count and we get the count is 1, and here state before update is 0, 0, 0, and 3 times we get state after updating state 1. So the final value of this .state.count is 1 because count get increased by 1 based on whatever state it was at the time you call setState. So all the setState call were in queue when the value of count was 0. So they all are simply set to 0 plus 1 equal to 1. So we get the final value of state is 1. When we call this 3 increment count, the React batch 3 setState calls into a single update for performance. That's why the every setState update the count from 0 to 1. That's why we got the result 1. There are two ways to call setState function. The one is to pass the object, or the second one is to create a function which returns the object. Now we are going to change the setState function which is accepting the function. So let's change this .setState which is accepting a function as a parameter, takes the parameter the previous state and the props, but we are not using the props in this component, so we use the previous state and it returns the count object. So we are updating the count using the previous state. So use the previous state dot count plus 1. And the second parameter is a callback function. So which log the state of the count. Okay, so now save the file. Now comment the previous function, save the file and see the result. Here is showing the count equal to 0, which is the initial state. Now click on the increment count. It is showing the state before update 0 3 times and the state after updating state 3 times, and we are getting the correct result. So why this happen? Now here when we update the setState, we have used the previous state. Here this previous state takes the state value based on whatever the previous state at the time the arrow function runs, and the final value is 3 because we have used a function to synchronously update the most current state, including the changes in a state made by the current state update. So it properly increment count 3 times as we expected. Now, why does the console.log shows 3 times instead of showing 1, 2, 3? And the answer is, as we have learned, React batch multiple setState calls into a single update for performance. So setState calls all happens together at the setState update phase in React, not immediately after that particular state update happens. So that's why we get the 3 times, because the console.log callback all happens together. So all these important things we have to keep in mind while coding. Now let's summarize what we have learned in this video. The first thing which we have learned is do not modify state directly. If we modify directly, the component will not re-render. So use setState. setState re-renders the component. The second one is state updates may be asynchronous. So in your code, if you want to use the updated state, then use the callback function of the setState. And the third one is state updates are merged for performance. React batch multiple setState call into a single update for performance. Thanks for watching this video and please subscribe the channel.